Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got breaking news. Anheuser-Busch has emergency meeting as Bud Light boycott getting worse. I'm telling you, it's been going on for a while. It has been getting progressively worse. They don't know how to stop it. They don't know what to do. And really, the simplest solution is the right one, which is to come out and publicly denounce Dylan Mulvaney, the transgender community, to come out and condemn the hatred from their community towards others, to reject all of that, and to basically say, we believe in American values. I'm sorry it took us so long to get back to you, but we do sincerely apologize. They did that, I think they'd be good.
Don't worry. Oh, boy.
Come on.
Oh, boy. Anheuser-Busch had an emergency meeting with distributors promising them, don't worry. Any other marketing we do, it's going to get checked. Yeah, everybody's pissed off. In one supermarket chain, they're saying they saw Bud Light sales go down 50%.
Ooh.
And I kind of feel like in places where it matters, when they actively choose their orders, meaning smaller businesses and regional stores, I bet they're seeing a much bigger impact from the boycott as opposed to like a big venue chain or an arena. It just says put in an order for 5,000 cases or whatever without thinking about it. Sales dropping, in my opinion, implies individuals at the smaller business level bars and stores are choosing to avoid it. Big corporations aren't paying attention. That makes sense. Now that it's having a huge impact on the regional stores, this emergency meeting means a whole lot. Ladies and gentlemen, we can win this culture war, so we'll talk about that. Plus, we got some other crazy stories. In Tennessee, where thanks to the work of Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire, we're going to talk all about that. Before we get started, we got a Knights, Colombian or French company that this and so much more is Lucas.
Anna Claire Brimlow,
Say that Benj screened before closed door meeting.
I'm a writer for timcast.com. I'm so glad to be sitting here, unlike some people who are in Texas. Just kidding.
And I am here right now. Serge.com. What's up?
All right, let's jump into this first story from the Daily Mail. Ladies and gentlemen, Anheuser-Busch executives hold closed-door meeting with beer distributors and told them any marketing will be heavily screened before it goes public. Bosses held the closed-door meeting in D.C. this week where they laid out plans going forward. They say that Benj Steinman, editor of Beer Marketers Insight, said the spending on the brand fell off a cliff last year, but Anheuser-Busch execs are promising to rectify the situation. Bud Light sales have fallen dramatically since the Dylan Mulvaney boycott, which I think most of you know. Now, they're reporting this. Bud Light's pours plummet. Before partnering with Mulvaney, in April 1st, it dropped by 6% to the 15th. But in one supermarket chain, Bud Light sales plunged 50% at Stu Leonard. So the tri-state area, this is Westchester County, Long Island, Connecticut, New Jersey. The reason why this story is so significant, ladies and gentlemen, is because this is a Democrat urban liberal stronghold seeing one of the biggest declines. So when we hear Kid Rock is, taking a gun and firing upon a bunch of Bud Lights, we're like, oh, well, yeah, he's Kid Rock, He's out in the country or whatever. He wants to be a cowboy baby or something. And, I don't know, is that what the song was?
Yeah, that's
okay,
right.
Okay, well, there you go.
With the top let back and the sunshine shining.
Boom, you get it. So, but we expect conservatives to do that. When we get news that they're having an emergency meeting in D.C. and in a major liberal area, Connecticut, New Jersey, Long Island, that beer sales are dropping 50% at a major regional supermarket, boycott's working.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
At one point,
everybody.
Stu Leonard's was known as the Disneyland of
I love Stu Leonard's.
It's the best thing of all
Yeah,
time. Highly recommend going. The one that was near me had all of the fruits that sing and stuff like that. If you can't keep people in your store, if you can't get them to buy Bud Light under those circumstances, you're just not going to. There's no better grocery store.
Being from New England, originally and living in New Hampshire, the fact that I haven't heard of this chain.
It's
blows
not.
my mind.
It's not as far. Connecticut is the only part of New England that has it. It doesn't get to Mass.
Quote, there will be an improved screening process before any marketing hits the public. Executives will have to go through a more rigorous screening process. According to Beer Business Daily, wholesalers received a letter in which executives explained the entire situation, including, quote, this was one single can given to one social media influencer. This can was not made for production or sale to the general public. They are trying to trick people. The issue wasn't that one can was made. The issue was Dylan Mulvaney promoting the beer in general.
Yeah. We have an influencer among in our midst, you know.
How on earth could they still be that ignorant to not understand the problem? It's like you're hemorrhaging money. You think that they would bring on somebody who could explain this to them in a way that would make sense. And it's like, all this attempting to save face, it's not working. It's obviously not working. Why wouldn't you just be like, okay, look, we went too far in a few places. We made a mistake. We should not have sponsored this person. Their values don't align with our values. And so, effective immediately, we will never be partnering with this person again, or people like them, and we are going to be making concerted efforts to repair the damage that we did, and we are sorry. We are genuinely sorry. These people don't do that. They play weasel words and buzzwords and bullshit. All it would take is some authenticity, and I think they could turn it around.
Influencers make money off of the post, right? It's not that we have to have his face on every single beer can. It's the fact that he is getting paid to promote it, that you guys thought this was worth the money.
A lot of money.
And worth access to his audience. I think that's the biggest thing.
They're trying so hard to act like nothing's happening. But there was that video. I don't know if we talked about it last night, but this guy in Las Vegas, he's a Las Vegas vlogger. It's just what he does. He's walking into stores and being like, I wonder if this is a thing. And then he's like, oh, wow, no one's buying Bud Light.
I was questioning whether or not this would have impact, and when it initially started, I was a little apprehensive about the idea. I thought that it would look like people were attacking Dylan, and it has turned into what looks like the most effective boycott the right has seen in a long, long time. I can't remember the last time that there's been a boycott of something from the right that has been this effective.
Well, and it's obvious that people are upset with the brand.
Yeah.
And they're really focusing on the brand and not the person.
Which is good, because then it doesn't seem like you're bullying, right?
And it was kind of, they were talking about Dylan the first 2 days, which is reasonable because,
Sure.
Bringing him in and all that. But it turned into the brand, which I think that's the correct approach, because they're the ones that made the decision. They're the ones that make the product. They're the people that people want to buy the product from. Is it now the actual cans or bottles in the stores? It was like a limited run that actually had Dylan's face on them.
I think it was.
No, they only, from what I remember, and Phil can correct me here, they only made this one can to celebrate 365 days of Girlhood, to mark the 1 year point of Dylan's whole
Were those
spiel.
in stores, or you have to order them?
No, you couldn't.
Literally,
get
they
them.
just made a custom thing for him.
Gotcha.
But that wasn't the issue.
Right.
Because the video I saw first was Dylan with a bunch of beers saying, I don't even know what March Madness is. Let's all drink beer. And then cracking open beer. It had nothing to do with any kind of promotional can or anything like that. And then all of a sudden everyone was like, screw Bud Light.
And it's tagged with the hashtag Bud Light partner or something like that. Like, it's denoted as a form of advertising. I think what the strangest part of it, like you're right. I'm actually glad that there's not a specific targeting of Dylan Mulvaney, because Dylan Mulvaney's doing exactly what Dylan Mulvaney has always done. And you can have separate criticism of that. But Anheuser-Busch chose to partner with him. And if you put people in positions of power in your company who thought this was a good idea, I'm glad that you're starting to rethink this. I would like them to admit that they're just saying, like, our rigorous screening process is we will hire some conservatives after years and years of hiring liberals.
Probably what they're talking about is, okay, we can't say we goofed up and they're all fired, because then the trans community will say we're horrible and bigoted and all of that. And
so
I mean, it's a lose-lose for them.
And not even that. Here's how I imagine the meeting goes down. They tell everybody, look, we understand your concern. We're going to have a meeting in D.C. Come meet. And they all walk in, and there's a guy in a suit, and he goes, listen, our customers are dumb as dumb gets. They are so stupid. So here's what we're going to do. We're not going to apologize. We're not going to say anything. We're going to completely ignore all of them and let it all blow over. That's what they're saying right now.
I mean, I don't know if it's quite that extreme, but they are definitely trying to be like, they're definitely trying to run away from it as opposed to addressing it and saying they're sorry. And I do think that apologizing is appropriate, because they're seeing a distinct reaction from their user base, from their customer base.
Yeah, my severed trust.
Hubris. That's what it is. Sheer hubris. The inability to admit that they made a mistake. And they did. They made a big one. Partnering with Dylan Mulvaney, if your company, is like partnering with a rattlesnake. A rattlesnake, and you're like, oh, it's got a rattle. Oh, it's very pretty. But eventually it's going to bite you. And, you know, it's like conservatives tend to not really do boycotts because they're like, oh, well, it can't work. You know, conservatives, they are the biggest quitters I've ever seen. Conservatives are like, oh, well, you know, this boycott wasn't working within 2 days, so I'm going to give up. That's usually what conservatives do. It's like they don't push back hard enough against the left. They let the left make fun of them for their boycotts. And honestly, it sort of fizzles out. But this one has been different. And it's been beautiful to watch. So, I don't know. It's just, it seems like it's so obvious. These executives, they're hemorrhaging money off of their own ego.
That's what brands are built on.
Many of you may be wondering, why is this so important? Why have we talked about this for 3 weeks now? Why are we leading the show with it right now? Because I want to make sure that every major corporation knows that when you engage in sponsorships and advertising like this, it will be so toxic to your company, you will be reeling from it.
Amen,
there
bro.
has been no it's been entirely no negative response from all of the, essentially since, you know, since June became, you know, Pride Month and has been celebrated so openly in the West and for probably the past 10 years or so. There's not been any kind of considerable pushback. And to see something, you know, pushing back to say, hey, maybe we should moderate this a little bit, because at this point, the trans question like that is not built on solid arguments. There's a lot of questions. There are people that there's evidence that it's not a good idea to.
Well,
to
Europe
trans-
bans it.
Yeah, exactly. So
Like they like multiple countries in Europe have said, nah, it's not working.
yeah.
And then there's even been several studies showing that it could increase suicidal ideation.
Yeah.
So let's make sure we're helping people.
100%.
But more to the point, my biggest concern is they effectively sponsored ElsaGate, right? The easiest way for me to explain what went down with the Dylan Mulvaney sponsorship is a person exploited an algorithm to produce strange and off-putting content that was offensive to a lot of women, a lot of and men. And then Budweiser did no research, said, whatever, look, this person's got followers, it must be popular. But I do think it's a fantastic wake-up call as to what AI is doing to humans. Humans and what AI promotes, or I shouldn't say AI, but algorithms.
Sure.
It is incongruous. Just because someone has views does not mean they are popular. And this proves it. And I hope that if we keep the pressure on, then other corporations will start to realize, like, hey, look, just because that person's on TV doesn't mean they're popular.
You got to get the algorithms to really internalize retweets or not endorsements.
That's
to really
right.
get that
Exactly.
idea to go to really.
I used to see. Sorry, I was gonna say. I've heard some YouTubers say, like, yeah, I don't care if you dislike my video. Any interaction actually helps. I don't know if that's still the case. I'm not that experienced with it.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I've had videos that I've done on well, any number of like YouTubers or streamers, and they've got a huge fan base. They come and they interact. I get thousands and thousands and thousands of views and likes, and all my analytics are going off the chart. But the dislike bar is totaled in the comment section, but the video algorithm doesn't look at that. They're like, oh, well, people are engaging with this, so they must really, really like this. So let's promote this. I've had that happen all the time
with YouTube, but
It still is. Yeah, for
So
sure.
so really, like anyone commenting on Dylan's post being like,
yeah.
"This is terrible," is actually just still helping.
Yeah.
Do you get into the comments on T-Rex arm stuff
Oh, yeah.
still currently?
As much as I can, and primarily to learn more about our customers, not any other reason. We talked to some marketing folks last week who said, yeah, even if your company responds to every comment on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, that greatly affects the algorithm. Even if you just stop by and go thumbs up, you're adding to the comment count, and that makes a difference.
So when do you get the trans shooters?
Well,
out on the range.
yeah.
Wait a minute, that's a terrible phrase. Oh my God! Hold
I have no idea what you're talking
Back
about.
up! I apologize. I disavow.
I was like, whoa, Bill.
Disavow.
Like, I don't know what these people now flag with a gun on it. And then there was
even hunter's education. Don't store ammunition with a gun.
What?
I think we may have hit the end of the road on that, but yeah, I think it is incredibly important to talk about these issues because I mean you look at Anheuser-Busch as a company. The media is running stories. God. Let's see here. This will be an interesting one. Bud Light sales have plunged an astonishing 17% after controversial collaboration. Reports say two stocks could gain from the big drop. It can be difficult to measure the impact of a marketing campaign. However, Anheuser-Busch's latest ad featuring transgender influence Dylan Mulvaney seemed to have had an impact on sales of its seemed to have had Bud Light beer. The brand's controversial marketing collaboration, which ignited fierce reaction on social media, has led to a dip in Bud Light store sales by an astonishing 17%, according to industry research. Bud Light's partnership with Mulvaney, who has 10.8 I mean, is this really who has 10.8 million followers on TikTok, was meant to appeal to a young, broad audience of drinkers. A young, broad audience, so like 15-year-olds. Oh, great! But it also drew a tremendous amount of backlash based on the influencer's gender identity. This led some fans of the beer to start a boycott to show their dissatisfaction with the marketing decision. The boycott may have been successful, based on recent data from Nielsen IQ and Bump William Consulting, cited by the Wall Street Journal. Bud Light store sales dipped 17% in the week ending April 15, compared to the same period last year. Two executives who oversaw the collaboration have been placed on administrative leave. If the boycott continues, the brand's position as the best-selling beer in the country could be in jeopardy. Rivals are already stepping in and snapping up the market share. Good. That's good. Miller Lite is kind of gross. I don't like Miller Lite, but whatever in a pinch. Coors Light. Coors Light, the second most popular beer in America, appears to have picked up market share. I wonder what it's up. Really, Coors Light sales increased 16%. Well, I mean, sounds about right. Everyone's like, well, you know what? Let me go get Coors. That it pretty much seems like people just took two steps to the left. In terms of Bud Light, here, 2 steps. Oh, there's Coors. I'll get that. Miller Lite saw a boost in sales. Oh, wow. That can't be right. It's exactly the same. I mean, Bud Light, Coors Light, and Miller Lite dominate the market for light beer. However, smaller brands like Michelob Ultra also seem to be getting a boost from Bud Light. That's disappointing. The brand saw a dollar rise of 0.4. Don't you know that Michelob Ultra is owned by InBev? No. Oh, come on, guys. However, is owned by Anheuser-Busch. Some investors may see this as an opportunity to buy the beaten down stock. Despite its recent dip, Anheuser-Busch InBev is up 4.25% over the past month. It's trading at just 22.5 times earning per share and offering a 1.26 dividend. Only 28% of the company's sales are generated in North America. Oh, interesting. That means it's better insulated from the controversy than most boycotters believe. This could be the perfect opportunity for a contrarian investor. Ooh, okay. Let's take a look at some of the comments. I grew up in rural Ohio with blue-collar people who love beer, local haunts, and sports bars. They are in general not a woke crowd. No surprise, sales dropping countrywide. I bartend in a town of 250,000, 25,000 in the Midwest. One of my regulars came in, and like every Monday, I had his Bud Light on the bar and ready to go. He said, "Not anymore, darling. I'll take Coors." I asked why. He said he didn't agree with them. I started asking other customers. And like me, he felt the same way. They're tired of the 1% population dictating every facet of life. And if we don't agree with them, we are bigots and racist. God damn. Amen, brother. That is the, these people are salt of the earth. I absolutely love it. The drop in sales is way more than 70%. That's probably true. Probably way true. Wait a month or so for the true numbers. The actual drop will be like 30%. Honestly, for like 17%, the executives wouldn't be doing what they're doing for 17%. They're like, okay, yeah, this is down a little bit. No, I have a feeling that internally the number is much, much, much higher. I bet sales are really down more than that. people are on to the. I doubt a lot of that Bud Light will leave the distributor. I was a long consumer of Budweiser, no long youngling. He was killing younglings. You can force every company to offer their products to all customers, but you can't force all consumers to buy their product from every company. Marketing has consequences. That certainly is true. I know it's not a reality, but I would love to see them go bankrupt. I'm tired of the boycott being attributed to conservatives. I'm a liberal woman. Amen, sister. Amen. Yeah, no. Biological women are not a fan of Dylan Mulvaney. Very, very interesting. It can be difficult. They're just quoting them. Actually, this one's easier to figure out. If you don't run ads that disgust and anger your customer base, featuring a transgender, in light of the raucous debate taking place, not a winner. Yeah, fair. Sales are down. People pretty much agree that sales are down more than 17%. Yeah. I love looking at these comments because it just gives you a reflection of where people are at. You notice what you don't see in these comments? At least from what I've seen? I don't see any comments. We're on Yahoo, by the way. I don't see any comments that are in full support for Dylan Mulvaney. Like, oh my God, Dylan Mulvaney did nothing wrong. Trans are the most beautiful, incredible. Of the 10.8 million people that follow Dylan on TikTok, I bet 90% are under drinking age. It's goddamn true. Yeah, these comments are absolutely amazing. It's worse than that. Yeah, people, 35% in bars and restaurants, and that data doesn't include last week either. It's gonna get worse. You bet you, brother. I switched to Youngling flights. I don't know where to get Youngling. God, I wish I could get some Youngling. I don't know why that sounds wrong. I wish I could get me some Young. No, I just want to try it. But sales to men who think they're women, one of the fastest growing segments over the past 10 years, is up an astonishing 50%. Well done, Budweiser. That's great. The Budweiser people forgot that aside from buying it, many people don't want to be still holding a Bud Light. Yeah, you goddamn right. It's gender fluid. Ooh. Yep. Yeah, people are not happy. So you can sort of see the general sentiment is that people are not happy. They're not supporting this this decision. They're upset at Bud Light. They're shitting on them, and good. I'll drink a different type of beer. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to support these people. Not only because it's not. At first, it was because they were sponsoring the trans agenda. You know, there was a shooting where a transgender went into a Christian school and killed a bunch of Christian kids for transgender reasons. And it's like, okay, the violence from the trans community is not acceptable. The bullying from the trans community is not acceptable. What they've done to streamers like Silvervale and others, totally unacceptable, totally disgusting, totally reprehensible. Just, the worst, most vicious people, unfortunately, are within the trans community online and in person. There's no grace or compassion or empathy. There's this thing of you're trying to, it's like you're trying to, it's like you're trying to genocide us, and it's like no. People like me are saying, hey, you know what? You probably shouldn't sterilize yourself. People like me are the ones saying, yeah, you know what? You probably shouldn't just, throw away your entire future. People like me are doing pretty much everything I can to condemn this ideology that hurts people. It's you who's like, well, you're genociding me. No, you're doing that to yourself because you're mutilating your private parts. You're never going to be able to reproduce. And then when you try to go after other people's kids and you're told no, you're like, well, this is genocide. No one told you. Well, hopefully no one told you that you had to do this. That you had to go snip, snip, chop, chop, tuck, tuck, so. No one should have told you that you have to do that. You chose to basically destroy your entire lineage for the sake of your own ego and delusion. And my heart goes out to you. Generally and genuinely, it does. But it doesn't mean that anyone's trying to do any of that. And there's no fear involved, by the way. It's, there may be a bit of a hatred, but it's not hatred because of this decision. It's hatred because of the attitude and the ideology. I've mentioned it in multiple videos, and there's no response from the trans community. Why do people not have a problem with Blair White? Blair White is as trans gets. Blair White is openly trans, unapologetically trans. Why don't people hate Blair White? Why don't people tear them down? Why don't people go to Blair and just act, is as bad as people claim that they're being treated within the trans community? Why is it that Blair White has over 1 million subscribers and is popular and doesn't get this hate? Why is that? If it's just because of that one aspect of their life, why do they not get that hate? Because in every video that I've made, in every comment that I've made, it's never been about the hatred of a choice of a person. There are behaviors and elements that this group continues to promote and push that I do truly despise. But I don't hate any of the people in there. Their ideas are terrible. The way that they promote those ideas are terrible. What they're saying is terrible. And the fact is they're going after kids. And they're trying to promote their dangerous way of thinking on the children. It's like, if you were to take most of that stuff away, most people would be like, live how you want. If you think, and I'll give you my opinion on trans people. I think trans people that undergo all the surgeries and all the chemicals, I think all those people are some of the most selfish people in the world. And I'll explain it. I was raised with this idea that what you want, I was like, I don't feel well in this way. That didn't matter. What was most important was your family. Your family was the most important thing. So, to spend a fortune on something that will never be real. I mean, it's like you could use that money to do something amazing for your family and your lineage and your legacy going forward. You could invest that money in something that your kids, because you won't have mutilated yourself, that your kids and your grandkids could experience. Instead, we're just going to waste all this money on this, and it's still not going to work, and it's unfortunate. So, no, I'm not trying to genocide you. No one's trying to genocide you. This whole thing, you're trying to erase us. I'm trying to erase the problem which you currently suffer from that is causing you that much agony in younger people. But if you're asking if I'm advocating for, or anyone's advocating for, going Order 66 on the trans community, no, absolutely not. In no way, shape, matter, or form. In fact, most people, Matt Walsh, myself, many others, are trying to do the opposite. We're trying to fight for you. It's like, it's so basic. It's so simple. Anyway. That'll do it for today's video, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.